Hey guys, what's up? My name is T-Space, and welcome to another story time with me. So today I'm going to be talking about how I became a fast eater and overall how this affected me in games in general. And yeah, so to start it off, when I was younger, I used to eat extremely slowly. It was almost to the point where I was eating on average between an hour and an hour and a half. It took me literally that long to eat my dinner. And my parents didn't like this fact. My parents, when they were done, they wanted to, collect all the dishes up and then, wash the dishes. But they couldn't do that because I wasn't done eating. So they were more or less stuck at the table for an extra hour or so waiting for me to finish my dinner. So my parents didn't like this. They wanted me to, decrease my time to eat and overall encourage me to eat a lot faster. It didn't really faze me too much because when I was at the dinner table, or usually when I'm at the dinner table when I was younger, I didn't really have anything to, add into the conversation. Usually my family, when it comes down to dinner time, the dinner time is reserved for the family get-together where we, sit down in one spot, eat our meal, and, enjoy each other, I can't speak, we enjoy each other's company. We tell one another, what we did that day, what happened, and what our problems have been and stuff like that. And overall, it's like a bonding exercise. So given that I'm like 5, I don't have anything to contribute to the conversation. I mean, come on, what are you gonna ask a 5-year-old? You're gonna be saying, so Jimmy, what did you do today? I played with my toys. I mean, that's all you're gonna get. I mean, you're not gonna see him complaining about Deborah. That your fucking secretary that's been slacking off and not been doing anything and, just sleeping around with people. No, you're not going to be seeing that. Nah. Not going to be. That'd be fucking weird if that actually happened, okay? So, anyhow, moving on. I didn't have anything to, contribute to the conversation. So, I more or less became bored at the table. And therefore, I lost track of time. Now, mind you, I'm not a picky eater, and I love food, to be honest. I like to try different foods, but I'm not as exotic as you might think. Like, if I went to a third world country and one of their delicacies was eating, I don't know, eyeballs, I probably wouldn't do it. It just kind of would gross me out because, I don't know, I've never eaten eyeballs before. Maybe it could be good, but just by the look of it, it just doesn't look appetizing to me. But anyhow, so I wasn't picky. I love food. So what my dad told me to encourage me to eat faster was that when I got older and went to middle school and high school, if I took too long to eat, they would literally take away my food. Now this sparked something in my mind, and I was like, nah, fuck that. They ain't taking away my food. No teacher can touch my food. My food is my food, and I love my food. Of course, I didn't say it like that because I wasn't a gangster. I wanted to be, but I wasn't. Anyhow, so more or less, that kind of frightened me, and I was like, all right, I got to eat faster, and I'm gonna make it so that the teachers can't take away my food. And to give me more of an incentive to eat faster, my dad told me that every time I improved my time or decreased my time by 20 minutes, he would give me a piece of candy or so. Or no, I think it was like 10 minutes, let's say. So he'd give me a piece of candy. And then, each time I got faster and faster and faster, he gave me a piece of candy. And to give me, I guess, a jackpot or a huge goal to reach was that if I beat him when it came down to eating dinner, like if I finished dinner before he did, then he'd give me 3 pieces of candy. So this is like enough motivation for a 5-year-old to have. I was like, fuck, I'm getting candy up the ass. Well, okay, that's actually really, really weird. But, I'm just getting a lot of candy. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting so much candy. I'm like having a candy empire. So, I tried my best, and overall it decreased. And by the end of high school, I had an average eating time of like 5 to 7 minutes, and it was pretty fast. But like when I was at the pinnacle of on the same level as my dad usually eats around maybe 25 to 30 minutes for his meals. So, that's kind of like an average time to eat while you're talking to other people. You're talking, you're eating. I'd say 25 to 30 minutes is about the same. But when I reached that point, I wanted to destroy my dad to the point where he would never again say that I was a slow eater. So, that's another thing that motivated me besides the candy, to the point where, I would just completely eat my food before they even started. It was like super fast. So along this process, there were some problems that I had to overcome to increase my eating time. Now, I guess the obvious are there, like shellfish, you know, ribs and stuff like that. Anything that, you know, had objects that you had to work around in order to finish your dinner pretty much slowed me down. It added an extra 2 minutes, but overall I got past that, and it was pretty easy. But there was one step that I had troubles with, and that was when I was still starting out. When I was starting out, I didn't really like the fact of cooked carrots. I just didn't like them. Cooked carrots just weren't my thing. Maybe it's the way that they're cooked or something like that. Maybe it's the texture. Maybe it's because they're too sweet or something. It just did not sit right with me, okay? So when my dad would prepare his, well, in my eyes, his famous oxtail stew, which is a stew with cow tail, if you want to put it in layman's terms. I know that might sound completely disgusting, but if I didn't tell you it was cow tail, you would never know, and you'd be like, "Whoa, this is fucking amazing. This actually tastes really good." So, that's one of the dishes that he made, and within the dish, he had, the meat, he had some gravy, he had, I think, mushrooms, onions, I think maybe some tomatoes here and there, and potatoes, and on a side dish we had, peas. But the thing that I disliked about this dish was the cooked carrots. I just couldn't get over the fact of how disgusting the cooked carrots were. Now, mind you, I like raw carrots. I just don't like cooked carrots. I don't know what it is. It's just the texture or just how sweet it becomes. Just doesn't sit right with me. So when we have that dish, for dinner, I would always push the carrots off to the side and say, like, "All right, I'm done." And when I did that, my dad did kind of like a double take. He looked at the plate, looked at me, looked at the plate, looked at me, and said, "Eric, eat your carrots." And I'm like, I don't want to eat my carrots. I don't like carrots. They're disgusting. Of course, that's a lie because I like raw carrots. But anyhow, I wanted to get out of the situation so I wouldn't have to eat the carrots. So he told me, "Eric, eat your carrots. They're good for you." And being like an obedient child that I was, I ate the carrots. But my willpower wasn't strong enough, and after eating the carrots, I literally threw them back up. So instead of just having, slices of cooked carrots on my plate, I had a pile of orange mush that I couldn't really define what it actually was. And then my dad, nonetheless, did the whole double take. He looked at my plate, looked at me, looked at my plate, looked at me, and said, "Eric, eat your goddamn carrots." And at that point, I literally started bawling because I was like, I'm not eating my own barf. That is disgusting. And the only saving grace that I had in that moment was my mother that walked into the room, wondering why I was crying so much. And they pretty much had a talk. They weren't fighting. It was more or less like a quarrel. I think that's the right word. Or I don't know what the word is. I'm not good with words. But anyhow, that was one of the problems that I had to overcome. Of course, when I got older, I learned how to negate this whole texture of cooked carrots by just mixing everything up together, mashing it up so that the carrots would become a lot smaller, and therefore you wouldn't really taste them as much. But then, I'd still eat them. So now you might be saying, so T-Space, how did this newfound skill of eating is super fast aid you in gaming? Well, let me tell you. So when I was when I started playing Bad Company 2, I joined a competitive group. Now this competitive group was kind of a branch off of a larger clan, and more or less we joined a tournament. So most of these tournaments back in the day were, and actually I think now as well, are based off of Eastern Standard Time, or the East Coast. So the matches were about 9 o'clock Eastern time, which was perfect time. It's after dinner. It's kind of not too late in the night, but it's not too early in the night. And it was perfect for the East Coasters. But for me, given that I'm living on the West Coast, that's a 3-hour difference. That's the time that I eat dinner. So, given that my parents emphasize that eating dinner at the table with everyone is very, very respectable, and it's very, very important, I couldn't just skip dinner to play the game and then come back to dinner, because more or less that'd be disrespectful. I mean, my parents cooked me my food, so I should be there when it's ready. I shouldn't have to just kind of put them on the afterburners and have them wait for me to eat their food. I mean, I feel like that's extremely disrespectful. So I had to manage both of these times accordingly. And given that I started to eat a lot faster, my average time was anywhere between 7 to 5 minutes. I was like, I got this. So like, I would say 10 minutes or so before the match actually started was when my dinner was ready. So I'd tell my teammates, "All right, guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna eat dinner really quick, and and I'll be back in time for the match. The first time I said that, they didn't believe me. They're like, T-Space, what are you doing? You gotta get back in right now! Blah! And of course, by the time they were yelling at me, I was gone. I didn't even hear that, but that's what they told me. And they were astonished by the fact that when I said I was leaving, and then I came back, they're like, wait, you ate dinner? You're done? Now, mind you, my plate was, you know, pretty full. My plates are the normal size dinner plates, filled to the rim with everything. Like, you know, if you looked at my plate, it would be like the pinnacle plate of healthiness. It would have my greens, my starches, and then my protein, like, you know, all mixed together. Well, not really, sometimes, but anyhow, you know, it would be like a colorful plate. That's how my parents raised me. If my plate isn't colorful, then that means I'm missing out on nutrients. I think that's a word that you know I don't get with, you know, my entire plate. Like if my plate is just, let's say, I don't know, beans and what goes with beans? I don't know, beans and meats, let's say. Then, you know, I'm missing my greens. I'm not getting my my greens in there. It's missing. I need it. So anyhow, my plate were, you know, were pretty hefty. So they were astonished that I would finish that fast. And it became more or less a reoccurrence where, you know, I'd leave before matches and come back right on time, that they actually timed me to see how long it would take me to finish my dinner. And overall, they you know, they do like these little bets here and there. Kind of. They'd be like, oh, when do you think T-Space is going to be back? I think about 7 minutes. I think about 5. And to be honest, my fastest time for eating dinner was 4 minutes and like 30 seconds or something like that. And what I had for dinner that day, I remember to this day, was actually a very difficult meal to accomplish this task. I had chicken, which involves bones. So bones are very hard to eat around at a fast pace. And overall, I wanted to make sure that there was nothing left on the bones, because you know, when I eat something to its fullest extent, I want to make sure I don't leave anything behind, because I feel like, once again, it's disrespectful. Going off on a tangent, if you guys ever start to date Asian people, whether or not you are a girl or a guy, and you start to date a man or a woman, or, you know, the same sex or whatever, just be warned. When you're eating out with Asian people, they will literally toss food on your plate, and if you don't eat it, it's considered disrespectful. So if you don't want to eat something, make it known that you don't want to eat it before they plop it onto your plate. Because once it's on your plate, you're done. Like, you can't do anything about it. You better fucking eat that, whatever that is. Like that Kung Pao fried chicken or whatever Americans call it now. So just keep that in mind. But anyhow, that's pretty much the story on how I became a fast eater and how it kind of correlated with me in gaming. So I hope you guys did enjoy this story. Hopefully enjoyed the gameplay in the background. But like always, my name is T-Space, and I will catch you guys later.